Good morning. In today's video, I'll discuss Jammu and Kashmir and I will explain how the Indian state, in political, military, and geopolitical terms, it has reached a dead end in the state. Now, let me start with two recent events. One, we know that there has been a spurt of terrorist activity in Jammu and Kashmir. In fact, the focus has shifted to the Jammu region. For example, yesterday there was an encounter in Doda, and today we got the news that the Indian Army has lost 4 soldiers, including an army captain, in this attack. Statistics tell us that this was the 6th attack in Jammu this year, and a total of 52 security personnel, mostly Indian Army soldiers, have lost their life in Jammu region since 2021. Now, this is the year we know then where a lot of forces, Indian Army, they were shifted from Jammu region to the line of actual control with China. So we have a military problem. So what is to be done about this? I will discuss this in a while. Let me first go to the second event, which is equally shocking. 2 days back, the Director General of Jammu and Kashmir Police, R. Swain, made an astonishing statement, unbelievable statement. He said that regional parties in Jammu and Kashmir, regional parties are helping Pakistan infiltrate into Kashmir civil society. Let this sink in. What Swain is saying now is that the militants, which are homegrown terrorists, which come from outside, today they are indistinguishable because of the help that the regional parties are giving to Pakistan. This is what he is saying. In other words, what he is saying is that the 8 million Kashmiris or 80 lakh Kashmiris are all suspect, and he is admitting that those 80 lakh Kashmiris are alienated totally. This is what this statement means. Now, he's made a public announcement, but obviously the Union Home Ministry would have been aware of this. So, they've already amended the transaction of business rules in Jammu and Kashmir, whereby sweeping powers have been given to the Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory. He controls police, he controls postings, transfers, financial powers. Nothing in the state will move without his nod, without his approval. So, what are we talking about? The Supreme Court has told the government, the Modi government, please hold assembly elections by September 30th this year. So, the elections will be held. There will be a chief minister who will now take the blame, but he'll have no powers, and a lieutenant governor which will have all the powers, but he will not be accountable. Now, isn't this reaching a dead end as far as politics is concerned in Jammu and Kashmir? So this is one. Second, let's go back to the military aspect. I said, everybody knows that there has been a huge increase in terrorist violence. So the answer now given out of how to stem that is in an article written 2 days back by a former commander of Northern Command, Lieutenant General D.S. Hooda. He wrote an article in Hindustan Times. Well, Hooda is the same general who planned and executed the 2016 infamous surgical strikes in Pakistan. So, please dwell upon his bottom line that he has written in the newspaper. He says, punishment is the only way to influence Rawalpindi's behavior, to stop this proxy war. Now, he uses the word punishment. Now, punishment is a very strong word. It is a word which has to be used for an inferior military, for a military which is an irritant. You don't use a word like punishment for a military which is a peer competitor. Pakistan military which has always been a peer competitor of the Indian military, and the evidence of that is that in all the wars that the two sides have fought, the military line has never been obliterated. Today actually outmatches the Indian military. I will come to that in a while. But getting back to Huda's statement, he says that punishment is the only way to influence Rawalpindi's behavior. Now, when you try and punish, you get into a skirmish or something with Pakistan, it's a serious thing, then it escalates because the adversary happens to be a peer competitor. Because it is a peer competitor, neither side will control the escalation ladder. It becomes a full-fledged war. That is what we are talking about. And what will, let's say, a war look like between India and Pakistan? Because after all, the Indian side has been consistently provoking the Pakistan side. We've had statements coming from the Defense Minister Rajnath saying that the military officers also in total concurrence with the Defense Minister that we will take back Pakistan occupied Kashmir. These are all provocations. So, to understand what a future war, a next war between India and Pakistan, God forbid, if it happens, it will be very different from the wars that the two sides have fought earlier. To understand that, step back to the 2019 Balakot air attacks done by the Indian Air Force. And the next day, the Pakistan Air Force responded with their Operation Swift Retort. There were three big lessons to be learned from Operation Swift Retort. I don't know if the Indian government, Indian military, and the Indian analysts, they learned those lessons. And what are they? Number one, in Operation Swift Retort, the Pakistan Air Force demonstrated excellent pilot training. It's not an easy task to attack, to do precision strikes in broad daylight when the enemy is expecting you and yet not kill anybody in an area which had a heavy density of Indian troops. And that is precisely what they did. Number two, they showed good electronic warfare capabilities, far better than the Indian Air Force. Now, as a consequence of their demonstration of the good electronic warfare capabilities, what they did was, in August of 2020, under the Pakistan Air Force, with full support from the People's Liberation Army, they set up a Center of Artificial Intelligence and Computing, CENT AIC in short, where the lead project was cognitive electronic warfare. Now, they showed good electronic warfare there. Now they are talking of cognitive electronic warfare. That means artificial intelligence in electronic warfare. This is a huge jump. I've done a video on this, won't dwell on this right now. So they are focusing completely on electronic warfare. And the PLA is providing all the help. So the third thing that comes straight away to the fore is that in the next war, if it happens between India and Pakistan, it is the Pakistan Air Force which will be the lead service in war and not the Pakistan Army. In all the wars which have been fought between India and Pakistan on both sides, it is the armies, the Pakistan Army and the Indian Army, which have been the lead service, and the respective air forces, they have been in support role, support of their armies. This will change. And this is where it will outmatch the Indian military. I will explain this in a while, but before that, another event, mindless event, needs to be spoken about. We remember that on the 5th of August 2019, the Modi government revoked Article 370 from Jammu and Kashmir. Now, what irked Pakistan was the revocation of Article 35A, and what was unacceptable to China was the creation of new maps by the Modi government which showed Ladakh Union Territory on the maps. Ladakh was made into a union territory. When you put it on the map, then you show a border on the map. This was unacceptable to the Chinese because they rightly said that there has never been a border between Xinjiang and Ladakh. What you've done is they told the Indian side cartographic aggression by creating these maps. This is not acceptable to us. Because the Modi government did nothing about that, so as a consequence of that, the Chinese did their intrusions, deep intrusions in April of 2020, where if you go by the media reports, they are sitting on something like 2,000 square kilometers of Indian territory in East Ladakh. So what happened as a consequence of 5th August 2019? The Chinese say that the entire Ladakh belongs to us, in addition to, of course, the Arunachal Pradesh state that they claim. And both Pakistan military and the PLA, as a consequence of that mindless action, they have come in a militarily tight embrace. It has serious implications. Now I will explain that part. If there is, God forbid, a war between India and Pakistan, what will it look like? Assume that China will not get in a war with India. There will be no war. But if there is a war between India and Pakistan, rest be assured that the Chinese and the PLA will exert maximum pressure on the line of actual control and make sure that all the Indian military assets which are there on the line of actual control, they will not be transferred to the Pakistani theatre. That is what will happen. Now, next, which is more important, the entire dynamics of war at the operational level will change. And how that will change is, when we look at modern war, we know that there are virtual domains in modern war. As I said, the Pakistanis, the Air Force, have already been working for the last 4 years on cognitive electronic warfare. So let's assume, because after all we must look at the worst case scenario when we do a military analysis, appreciation, that a lot of help would have come from the PLA and their capabilities in electronic warfare, or the management of the electromagnetic spectrum would be better from the Indian side. So that's one. This is about the battlefield. Now, as far as the other capabilities are concerned, cyber, while I remember very clearly, because I happened to be there when Pakistan in April of 2020 released its first national security policy, there the then army chief, General Bajwa, he categorically stated that we will be putting money in creating cyber capabilities for both the civil domain as well as for the Pakistan military. But that besides, China, because the two militaries are in a tight embrace, China has enormous capabilities in cyber. China has been doing cyber attacks on Indian territory, and that is all for reconnaissance. So they have enormous capabilities, and cyber is non-attributable. So this is where they will help the Pakistanis. Then space. PLA has huge capabilities, kinetic and non-kinetic capabilities, space capabilities, which is why their peer competitor US military under the Trump administration in 2019, they created the Space Force. Again, they'll be available to the Pakistan side. ISR will be available to the Pakistan side. Then, as far as operational support is concerned, your spares, assemblies, all those things which are required, because after all at the tactical level there is attrition. So they will be freely available to the Pakistan side from the PLA. Please recall when the Kargil conflict happened, that time General Musharraf was sitting in Beijing asking them for the spare parts, asking them for the ammunition, just in case that conflict became a war, which of course did not happen. But today, for the last 2 years, we know that there is a team of the Pakistan military which is sitting now in their embassy in China, whose sole job is operational support to the Pakistan military. So let's see these 5 things now, which will hugely influence a war between India and Pakistan. And these are: cyber will get from China, space, China will help. In space, ISR also comes. Electronic warfare, the Pakistan Air Force has been working for the last 4 years on this project, as I said, cognitive electronic warfare. Operational support total. And the 8 lakh Kashmiris, by Swain's admission, they are alienated. So when they have the support of so many things, what are we looking at? If there is a kinetic war, it will not be a stalemate like the earlier times. If not obliterated, the military line will be shifted drastically. So as far as the military is concerned, again there is a dead end, which has been reached primarily because the Indian army has been doing counter-terror operations. I mean, this is a different subject. I don't want to go this way in this video. They have been just doing that for the last 33 years. So they have lost the capabilities. Now, so this is the dead end I said about the politics, about the military. Now let's see geopolitics. Interestingly, both Pakistan and China, they want good ties with India. The Chinese are saying, and they both are saying the same thing. The Chinese are saying that let border issue be one of the issues, let's improve the relations. Precisely the things that the Pakistanis today are saying, that Kashmir is our core issue, Kashmir is important, but let's also look at the other issues. But the Modi government is not agreeable to this. And the reasons are very obvious. It cannot have peace with Pakistan because of ideological reasons. It cannot have peace with China, normalcy with China. Although trade is galloping, something like $136 billion trade with China India has had. But there cannot be normalcy, a show of normalcy, because the Indian side, which is no match to the national power of the Chinese, wants to create an illusion of a regional competition, a geopolitical competition with China. So it cannot have normalcy with China. So we are today in a situation where the Modi government will not have normalcy with either of them. The military lines on both sides are active. And here is a basic rule of international relations. And that rule says that if a nation's neighborhood is not peaceful, it can never rise. Thank you very much.